Jamming with History. Chapter 12. Audition. Costume check. When Roman got off the bike, he wished he hadn't gone for the white shirt. Nothing showed stains more than a white shirt, and yet that is what he chose today. You okay, Princey? Virgil asked worriedly as he took off their helmets. Just not stoked about the first impression I'm going to make on your parents, Roman muttered displeased as he gestured to his sweaty helmet hair and just everything. Don't worry, you being sweaty is not going to be the first thing my mom will notice, Virgil assured him, as he led the way to the front door. The house was much smaller than Roman's, though he had no real reference to know if it was small by normal standards. The front yard was lovingly tended to. There were flower pots all over the porch. It was a nice place 5 minutes away from his home, which was a relief. Roman hadn't been sure if Virgil had lied when he said it was barely a detour to picking up for school. It turned out he hadn't. As they arrived at the front door, Virgil took in a deep breath. Okay, here we go, he whispered to himself before retrieving his key and opening the door. We're here, he called out. Only seconds later, someone appeared in the doorway. They were definitely not related to Virgil. They were of African descent and had nothing in common aside from maybe a more punk-inspired dress style that Roman could see had influenced Virgil's clothes of choice at least a little. They were grinning widely. Virgil, how is my favorite gremlin doing? I thought you were avoiding me, he teased. Virgil chuckled. As if there's anywhere on earth I could hide from you, trash man. The mustached figure cackled loudly. Roman, Uncle Remus. Uncle Remus, Roman. He, him pronouns are around, Virgil introduced. Remus, we agreed to let Virgil come to us, another voice spoke, soon accompanied by a second figure. This time someone who looked like they shared DNA with the emo accompanying Roman. Where's the fun in that? I wanted to see Baby V's little friend for myself, Lo, Remus purred, hanging himself off of Logan's shoulders. Hi, Uncle Lo, Virgil smiled, unbothered by the interaction. Apologies, Virgil. I did try to convince him not to ambush you and your friends. Mr. Sanders paused to take Roman and Virgil in with a frown. I believe you both need a quick shower and a change of clothes before your mother finishes setting up lunch, he advised. Virgil relaxed and nodded. You think there is anything here that might fit? I believe there should be some clothes in the guest room that might suit him just fine. I shall ask Janice to assist. Virgil nodded. Thanks. I'll show him to the guest bedroom and... Virgil? Is it you, dear? A feminine voice called from somewhere in the house. Virgil let out a curse. Too late, he sighed. Will you guys? Indeed. Remus, would you ask Janice for some assistance? I will show Roman the way, Logan offered, as he walked over and guided Roman down the hall to a room to the left, what Roman quickly discerned to be the guest bedroom. Virgil's older brothers have left some of their old clothes in here. It has been shown beneficial in the past to have some on standby for guests in case of spills or damage, Logan informed him. I see, Roman mused. So you are Virgil's uncle, he verified, as he was led to the room adjacent to the bedroom. His father's identical twin brother. Don't worry, we dress very different. You won't mistake us for one another, he assured him. Okay. Virgil Augustus Sanders, what are you wearing? Roman cringed as he heard the incredulous screech of what had to be Virgil's mom, who was not happy with the outfit Virgil had met his parents in. And that would be Elizabeth. She is a very sweet woman, truly. She does, however, put great importance on things like good first impressions. And you have clearly met my nephew. He does not care much for that sort of thing, though he usually tries for his mother's sake, Logan explained. Roman nodded. Everything you need is stocked. We will have clothes ready for you when you come out. Enjoy your shower, Roman bid with a nod. Roman didn't take long. He just made sure to be rid of all the stickiness and blow-dried his hair. It wasn't as neat as he usually styled it, since he didn't want to use gels or sprays he wasn't familiar with. Just combed through and left the bathroom. He found a neatly folded pile of clothes with a note. There was a maroon button-up, brown pants, and a golden tie. He read the note. Bows are for presents, neckties are serious. Try this one. L. Roman inspected the tie. There was no harm in trying. He put on the outfit and checked himself in the mirror, hanging on the closet door. He didn't look too bad. His tie made him feel more adult for sure. Wondered what Virgil would say. He ran his hand through his hair one last time and left the bedroom. Just in time, it would seem. Virgil was coming down from the stairs with a black button down and slacks. His fake piercings gone and his hair combed neatly. The dragon head poked out from under his collar, and it looked good on him. Like, really good. He looked like the handsome heir of a spy movie, dangerous, irresistible. And if Roman wrote the script, the surprise good guy who helped the hero make a daring escape from his father's death traps. He had to stop thinking up scenarios that made him swoon for his friend even more. Also, he kind of wanted to see this movie now, he said, hoping his awe wasn't too obvious. Virgil looked up in surprise. His eyes widened as he took him in slowly. Suddenly kind of hoped that he looked like the hero spy in this hypothetical movie. Handsome, confident, and sharp. He didn't feel like most of these things, but his outfit might make up for it a little. They really did a number on you, huh? Virgil smirked after a moment as he approached him. Roman wasn't sure if this was a compliment or not. But then Virgil grabbed him by the tie and loosened it up before swiftly unbuttoning the button on his collar. There. You're not here for a job interview, Bond. Now you look like you're at home, he smirked, though his eyes didn't move from his hands as he adjusted the collar and the tie a bit more. God, it was torture. Come on, let's meet the fam, Virgil encouraged as he led Roman through the door opposite the guest room that led to the living room where Virgil's family was waiting. Saw that more to the front of the house there was a kitchen that doubled as a dining area. Though if he looked to the doors behind the living room, he could see that the big table was set up for lunch outside, which was probably for the best, because there were 8 people in this house by woman's count, and the table in the kitchen didn't look like it would squeeze more than 6. There you boys are! A friendly woman with graying hair and laugh lines all over her face approached them with an approving smile. Roman, I am so glad my boy's clothes fits you. I'm sorry for Virgil's appearance this morning. I swear I taught him manners. You look wonderful, dear. My name is Elizabeth, or Lizzie if you prefer. No Mrs. Nonsense. You are a friend of Virgil's, then you are with family here, she assured Roman as she shook his hand heartily. Roman made a little bow. A pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Lizzie, he replied as a compromise. Mrs. Sanders giggled and tapped his cheek playfully. You are a clever charmer. You two go say hi to everyone. I get the rolls out of the oven. And I will be serving your mother's gift. Be sure to thank her for me later, okay? She insisted. Roman nodded. Thank you, I will, he promised. And with a loving tap to Virgil's cheek in passing, Lizzie disappeared to the kitchen. One down, a million to go, Virgil sighed as he steered Roman to the rest of the family. Immediately, Roman spotted a man who looked like Virgil's uncle, but was dressed in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, opposite of Logan's formal attire. The man got up and walked over to greet them. Roman, nice to meet you. I'm Howard. I hope my boy has been treating you well, Mr. Sanders inquired as he shook Roman's hand firmly. Yes, sir. Virgil has been a good friend and a great project partner. I'm happy to work with him, he told him. Mr. Sanders looked at him long and hard. Virgil wasn't kidding when he said that his family already considered them a done deal. Honestly, Roman wouldn't mind if they were. Still, the potential boyfriend treatment was a bit nerve-wracking right now. Good, Mr. Sanders smiled. Virgil led Roman to the next people in the circle. You've met Uncle Doe and Uncle Remus, he said as he skipped past them, giving Roman only a moment to see them nod approvingly at him. These are Uncle Patton and Mr. J, Virgil said as he indicated a freckled redhead with a bright smile and glasses, who waved excitedly at them, and the man with southern European roots, and discoloration on half his face, making it paler than the rest of his skin. The man without glasses sighed. Virgil, for the millionth time, I'm sorry. I should not have sent you out like that, or at least swallowed my pride and apologized sooner. Can we stop it with the Mr. J thing now? The man pleaded. Then what do you propose I should call you? Virgil asked innocently. Mr. Jade sighed. How about that you've called me since you could talk? Uncle Jade, he said. Well, if that's what you wanted, you should have just said so, Uncle Jay. The dog Dean shrugged with a victorious grin. Mr. Jay groaned. We've created a monster. You used to be a little angel, and now look at you. He sighed dramatically, prompting everyone in the room to laugh. Virgil sat himself and Roman down on some spare spots on the couch. Roman was looking around, fascinated at the pictures strewn around. He spotted a graduation picture. There were two men who looked identical to one another, flanked by Thomas, a man Roman had met yet, Virgil's parents, and Virgil's mother was holding a. Is that you as a baby? He asked, surprised. Virgil chuckled. Puts a whole new spin on baby of the family, huh? The twins, Patrick and Christian, were 20 when I was born. Thomas was 12 and Sean was 10. Safe to say I was not planned. But never unwanted, Mr. Sanders added firmly. Apparently there was a concern that Virgil might think that. Woman didn't want to ask why. Not here, not now. Did I hear it wrong, or is your middle name really Augustus? Woman wondered, hoping to change the subject on something lighter. Yes. Is there a problem? Virgil asked, a bit on guard. Woman shook his head with a smirk. I mean, kind of funny if you know the story behind the N8. He shrugged. Roman looked up and saw that Mr. Sanders was grinning from ear to ear and struggling not to laugh out loud. I like this kid. He gets it. The man grinned in approval. That, I swear to God, Virgil warned. What? I'm just saying it would fit so perfectly, his father objected. I don't follow, Roman frowned. Virgil let out a sigh. My dad seems to think that our names fit together rather well, too, he surmised. Roman blinked. Virgil, the Roman poet. The Roman patriotic poet who loved Rome. Oh. Roman scrambled for a different topic. Any topic that would make the room stop smirking at them like that. They hadn't even done anything implying anything between them. Why were they thinking there was? Had Virgil said something? Roman kinda hoped he had, because that would mean he stood some kind of a chance should his feelings last. Which, honestly, that seemed very likely. Lunch is served, Virgil's mother announced, saving them both from the awkward situation. Lunch was delicious. And educational? Logie, sweetie, would you pass me the butter, please? Patton asked sweetly. Of course, Patton, Logan offered. Woman had spent the entire lunch so far trying to figure out the dynamic between Virgil's uncles. Only Logan was related. The rest seemed to be honorary uncles. None were wearing a ring, so none were Logan's husbands. But they acted so domestic. They made jabs about chores and had pet names for one another, and they stopped Remus from making innuendos on multiple occasions addressed to all of them. Patton gave light touches and cute compliments. Remus had no concept of personal space with any of them, and Janice seemed to sneak in little inside jokes that could imply romantic intent. Logan was the most distant of all of them, but he smiled at the jokes and names and chuckled at the innuendos despite himself. Maybe they were just really good friends who acted like they were together because that was their thing? Flirting because it's fun? Touches because it's how they express affection? No one put any pressure on Roman to talk about himself during the meal, which was nice, but it also gave him time to wonder. The only thing he was sure of by the end of the meal was that Logan and Remus worked in a lab together, making Remus the one who helped build paranoia, probably. And Patton and Janice were lawyers who had their own firm together. When they excused himself from the table and headed to Virgil's room, Roman couldn't hold it in anymore. Logan and Remus, are they just lab partners or romantic partners? He blurted out. Yes, Virgil answered vaguely with a chuckle as he led them through the hall past a few doors. Seriously, Virgil, I can't figure it out and curiosity is killing me. Are they all together or just roommates or are they some together? What is it? No judgments, I promise, he pleaded. Honestly, Virgil said as he stopped at the door of what the woman had to assume was his room, we have no clue. Janice and Remus were roommates in college, and Patton was Logan's. Logan and Remus were in the same course, and as were Janice and Patton. They became friends and moved in together, and they never put a label on their thing. So I have no clue. But whatever it is, it works for them, so we don't judge. Virgil shrugs. Roman nodded. He guessed that made sense. Still, he was a little curious. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to my room, Virgil said as he swung the door open, making Roman forget all about his curiosity. Virgil's room was cool. There was no other word for it. Band posters, swimming awards, some pictures of him mid-jump, a wall painting of a seaside cliff on the side of the room that held his bed, and shades of purple on the three other walls. Virgil's skateboard and safety gear between his closet and the wall, and the desks all set up for their work. Roman sat down on the bed and kept looking around. There were some pictures on the wall too. Victories, birthdays. He smiled as he spotted one that was presumably taken when Virgil first got paranoia. Is my room approved? Virgil chuckled. Oh, absolutely, Roman grinned. Good. Then we can get started, the swimming chump stated firmly as he settled down and took out their work so they could start writing the presentation. After about 2 hours, Roman stretched himself with a yawn. It wasn't time to go home yet, but man, he needed a break. How about I get him some snacks while you stretch your limbs? Virgil suggested. Sounds good, Roman nodded, and so he was left alone to walk through the room for a bit while waiting for some sustenance. He looked around and smirked when he spotted a chain of Polaroid pictures. It seemed to be a chain of birthday family pictures, all including all of Virgil's siblings and his uncles. Roman watched a baby turn into a toddler, then a kindergartner, and slowly evolve into the Virgil he knew today. Or he was on that road when one picture grabbed his attention. Virgil's 12th birthday. It had been torn and put back together. The incident Virgil had mentioned. Roman wanted to step away and forget about it, but his eyes had already picked out the key details. The beanie covering Virgil's head, the bed, the background, and the writing underneath. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It had been written after it was repaired. Roman could tell. Oh, so you saw, huh? Roman looked up in surprise, feeling guilty. Virgil's careless smirk didn't reach his eyes now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I know. If I wanted it hidden at any cost, I would have put those pictures away. I knew there was a chance. I can't seem to help myself. Gotta play with fire, he joked, but his voice was empty. He walked over and put down the snacks and refreshments. He righted himself and looked up at Roman. They were too close for Roman to ignore that Virgil was half a head shorter than him. Ask me, he said. It was a challenge, and Virgil sounded like he might cry. Virgil, did you... Are you sick? Roman asked. Virgil shook his head. Not anymore. I had a checkup just last month. Lymphoma has a pretty good survival rate when it comes to cancer. Mine was a stubborn case, though, he joked. Still, I looked at the Reaper and said, Not today, man, I got plans. And he skipped them, he continued, forcing himself to maintain the jokes and sarcasm. And Roman would not let him. He would not be someone who couldn't handle Virgil's pain. Virgil, this is me, Princy. You didn't mean to, but you told me how you truly felt during this time. It's okay if you need not to be strong for a moment, he assured him. Virgil shook his head. It'll change everything, he insisted. It already has. But that doesn't have to be a bad thing, okay? I'm here for you. I promise, he assured him softly. Virgil bit his lip and then he let his posture fall. In fact, he fell in his entirety. He fell to his knees and started crying. Roman gently followed his descent and let him cry, waiting for him to be ready to talk.